Oh, friends, it's Patriot Nurse, and we need to talk because the Fed is doing something that I had expected they do, but like many of you didn't think they'd do it so quickly, and that is they turned on the money printers again. That's right. If you paid attention to the FOMC meeting as of yesterday, our illustrious friends at the Federal Reserve Bank, the non-elected cabal of central bankers who are no more federal than Federal Express, they've decided now that in order to prop up the economy, because we believe these numbers are so authentic that are coming in there, they're going to not only drop interest rates, but they're going to, and they were so slick about how they did this, they're going to start buying treasuries, which means they're going to start effectively printing more money. Interesting, because when Fed Chair Powell was pressed on this in a press release, he said when questioned by the press that the reason why they were doing this is because they want to make sure that the labor market is propped up. Well, everybody knows the labor market's garbage right now. I mean, how many people have lost a job and then tried to find another one, even a job that they were overqualified for? Leave me a comment below. Has this happened to you or someone you know? And how hard has it been to find a job? So many people are finding that, these ghost postings online are wasting their time. It's fraudulent what's happening with people. Anyway, the Fed has decided per Chair Powell, that they're not only going to drop interest rates, but per Chair Powell, one of the reasons why they are ensuring there's enough liquidity in the money supply, i.e. volume, is that taxes are going to be due come April. Deconstruct that for a minute. Here, I'll show you a video right now so you can watch it straight from the horse's mouth.
So, we announced that we're resuming reserve management purchases. That is completely separate from monetary policy. It's just we need to keep an ample supply of reserves out there. Why so big? The answer to that is, if you look ahead, you'll see that April 15th is coming up, and our framework is such that we want to have ample reserves even at times when reserves are at a low level temporarily. So that's what happens on tax day. People pay a lot of money to the government, reserves drop sharply and temporarily. So this seasonal buildup that we'll see in the next few months was going to happen anyway. It was going to happen because April 15th is April 15th. There's also a secular ongoing growth of the balance sheet. We have to keep reserves, call it constant as it relates to the banking system or to the whole economy. And that alone calls for us to increase about $20-25 billion per month. So that's a small part. That's going on. It's also happening in the context of a temporary few-month front loading to get reserves high enough to get through the tax period in mid-April. So that's what's happening there.
So did you catch what he said? The man literally said that they are printing money so people can pay taxes. And how is it that people are going to be having access to this money? They're going to have to take out loans because that's how they create this. They create debt as an instrument. They create debt. So people are literally going to have to take out debt in order to pay their taxes this year. And those people know it. The Fed knows it. So this is significantly worse, actually, than what I thought in a previous video I had shared just a few weeks ago that I expected we would have between 5 to 6 months. Well, that seems really rosy right now, to be quite honest, because when you have, for instance, the Fed screwing around with things like they are and dropping interest rates, all that's going to do is increase more and more lending, which is going to, in turn, cause the price of goods to go up even more. And then, furthermore, they're going to be printing more volume, printing more money. Why? So according to them, people can pay taxes. So literally, people don't have enough money to pay taxes. So the Fed's going to print it into existence. And by printing money, of course, what is that going to create, friends? You guessed it, inflation. Oh, wait, Patriot Nurse, haven't we experienced record inflation? Not according to these people. They seem to believe that inflation is still hovering around 2.8%. Do you think it's 2.8%, friends? Leave me a comment. Do you think that it's really 2.8%? I sure don't. I can give you an example, actually. About 6 weeks ago, I went to a store and there was a particular item that I am quite used to buying, and it was $2.99. I'm like, okay, $2.99. I know what I'm getting. Come back about 2-3 weeks later. Now it's up to $3.49. Okay, all right. A couple weeks later, now it's up to $3.99. And guess what it was today? $4.49. That's right. Yes, it was actually apple cider. It was apple cider in the bottle from Trader Joe's. Can you believe that? Now, some people would say, oh, this is just surge pricing. Or no, it's not. No, it's not. If it was just one item, then I would be like, okay, maybe, possibly. It's a big one. But it's more. It's other things. How many things have you gone to the grocery store and you're like, this is not stopping? This is not, no, This ain't no 2.8%, Patriot Nurse. This is like 10, 15, 20. Everyone that I've talked to is seeing it. So this is what the Fed is doing right now. They say, okay, we're going to screw around with some numbers. We're going to print more money. And then, oh, by the way, in May, when the new Fed chair is going to be appointed by the president, confirmed by the Senate, the odds are that this new Fed chair is going to be more dovish and is going to advocate looser monetary policy and increase printing. And oh, by the way, what you heard just now about the Fed starting to buy more treasuries, effectively printing more money, that the Fed is going to start printing more money now to the tune of buying $40 billion per month, that it's in perpetuity going forward. Now, they say it's going to decrease, but I don't buy that for a second. Friends, I think it's really important that we start getting very, very aggressive against inflation in our preps. And I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just sharing with you what I'm doing. But assets are going to be a huge part of staying afloat. And so many people are in the situation now where they're like, I don't have money to invest. I don't have money to the stock market, which is technically an asset, indexed funds. I don't have money for this. I don't have money for silver. I don't have money even for junk silver or copper. If you've got a few extra pennies, you know what is an asset? Food. If you've got an extra $1, I was going to say that would be a pound of beans, but it's not anymore. On a sale, you may be able to get a couple of cans of food for that. But if really, when you consider it, food is the new asset to have. Because on one hand, your purchasing power is being destroyed by the money printing. Some people could argue that precious metals, cryptocurrency, index stocks are going to be an asset that will pace with that. Certainly real estate, having your own home, will be an asset that would pace with inflation. But the reality is that if you're under 40 in this home, this is something that I think we really need to pay attention to. If you were under 40 in the United States and you did not buy your home before COVID, there is no hope for you in the current configuration of things. And we should pay attention to this. Even if you are a boomer or a Gen Xer and you are set for life and you don't feel the cash flow issues, you're looking at your portfolio and it's just growing. You're like, I'm sitting good. I'm sitting pretty here. Whatever. Eventually, friends, this is going to break people. You've got Gen Z and in some cases, the millennials right now who are doom spending because they realize that there's no way they're going to keep up. Whatever. It destroys my credit score. I don't care. I'm never going to buy a house. I'm too poor to buy anything other than, the cheapest beater car. And getting that repaired is hopeless. People are living in their cars right now. This is all of the setup that violent revolutions see. You have a large percentage of the population that realizes that there is no way for them to succeed in the narrative they've been given. And there ain't no bootstraps to pull yourself up on when your currency has been devalued 50%, which is what we're sitting at right now, friends. Depending on whose numbers you believe, I sure don't believe anything that's coming out of D.C. or any of their little buddies that they have cocktail hour with. I don't believe a thing they say. What I believe is my own experience on the ground. When I go to the grocery store, when I pay bills like y'all do, like everybody else does, I know they're lying to me. So the next generation is going to advocate hard for some variant of socialism. The question is, what's happening next here? And what do we expect is going to materialize in the midterms? You can bet that the Republicans and the Democrats both are going to run on a variant of socialist policies. And the question is, who is going to have the winning narrative? Now, the Democrats are going to probably go towards the Marxist side of things. But what I am seeing, friends, coming out of the so-called right is people who are espousing National Socialist propaganda. Do you know what National Socialist is commonly known as? Nazi. That's right. Now, the thing is, that's a dog whistle to most people nowadays. There's, Nazi. Oh, and then people counter-react like, I'm tired of being called a Nazi. Why would I give you the time of day and any type of argument that you might put forth? The thing is, friends, that the Republicans at this point have painted themselves into a corner because they have formed a gerontocracy. They got a bunch of old white dudes up there for the most part, although you may have a few token DEI people who are supposedly representing the spectrum of color within the Republican Party, who may or may not have good qualifications and have ideas, thoughts, and real world experience to substantiate any type of claim they would have towards legitimacy. But the Republican Party is really potentially going to go the way of the Whigs, I think, because they don't have anything anymore other than yes, we love our big strong man. We love big government as long as our dude up there is the one doing it. This ain't gonna work in the midterms, friends, when you got people who are en masse living in cars, en masse not capable of paying bills because their currency has been destroyed. There's no amount of avocado toast to cut, no amount of Starbucks to cut when you can't buy anything with your currency. And this is what happens when central banks debase that currency. This is what happens when governments inflate their way out of their sovereign debt crisis, which is what we're going to see. So, I mean, I wish on one hand that I had something really, really positive to encourage you with, guys. But I'm telling you guys, like, I am holding fast for what's coming over the next few months for sure. Because I think the inflation that we're going to see, and it may not be like we quickly get into hyperinflation. I think it's probably going to be very steady death of 1,000 cuts. Because that's the only option they've got left. The only way that we pay back, what is it, $39 trillion that we have right now, something like this? It's insane. Whatever it is, it's insane. The only way that we pay for this, like the least sucky way from their standpoint, from the powers that be, is to inflate our way out of it. Do you think they're going to cut Social Security entitlements? No. They'll keep it going as long as the boomers are drawing from it. That's the reality. They'll keep it going as long as the boomers are drawing and voting. And then once the boomers have ceased being useful for them, that's when they're going to cut it. So everybody who is a younger Gen Xer or an older millennial and below, they're sorry out of luck. They've been taxed their whole life and they're not going to recoup it. So then what? Well, you can't cut that. Can't cut Social Security. Can't cut military spending. Why would we do that? We need to keep our empire going forever and ever. So their only real chance to try and reset their debt is to inflate the currency or potentially to revalue gold, which they may do. The Fed has already floated. This is a reality. And if they revalue gold, you're probably going to want to have some type of asset that has some type of parity and purchasing power or real world usefulness, like food, like tools, real property, things like that. Guys, this is a poopy storm waiting to really hit the fan. And I am sorry to say it, but I think that we are really going to be in some very, very violent and dangerous times here very soon, because people have been able to effectively console themselves with bread and circuses, but their streaming services are going to end up getting cut eventually. Or, if they doom spend into putting everything on the credit card, and then the sheriff shows up at their front door with, an order to collect on things, then they're probably not going to take that very well. You're going to see people get more and more desperate, and that's a potentially dangerous place for us to be within the span of history. And I know how it goes. So, friends, I hope you found this video helpful. It's kind of a dark thing to think about, but it's straight dope, right? Leave me a comment below. Do you see things getting better? Do you see a way out of this that makes math sense? Do you see a way out of this other than strong man will make everything better? I'm sorry, I don't buy it. Do you? I don't buy the 40 chess narrative. I haven't bought it from the beginning. It doesn't make sense. No human being is that strong, that capable, and that immense in their ability to keep the spheres moving in the universe. No. So if you've got an idea as to how this works out better, in a happy outcome where everybody moves to Florida and there's plenty of money to go around to retire into the sunset, let me know. Guys, I think the imperative to prepare became that much more important. And the thing is, people, I get it, guys. I get it. People are so freaking strapped right now. They have so little money. If you have to prioritize things, you got to prioritize the beans, bullets, and Band-Aids, guys. People are dropping their health insurance because they can't afford the premiums. I understand that. There is a legitimate way for you to mitigate that risk, and that is you can pay cash for things. A lot of people don't have cash, which is why they had to, make that decision in the first place. So let me encourage you. If you're looking for ways to really cut back on your expenses, the library is free. You can educate yourself. You can get books for free to help teach you about medicine, to help teach you about how to care for your family's needs. If you get value out of the free videos on this channel, let me encourage you, go review my back catalog. I have so many hours of content for free talking about these things. Just a few weeks ago, I did a video on how to manage fevers and what are the key mistakes that people make and how to avoid getting into a situation where you have to go to the doctor and you have to go to the ER. So make sure that you're availing yourself of these resources. If you would like to purchase a course that I offer and go to the next level, then I have several courses available online. We have the herbal preparedness course. We also have the foundations of medical prep course, which is a great way to dip your toe in. We also just released our strategic nutrition for survival course, which really shows you how to make better decisions with your money when it comes to how to spend appropriately for your food. How do you use food as a shield against disease? That is critical, and it's going to become that much more important in the days to come. Guys, thanks for sticking with me. I know that you have a choice where to spend your time, and your time is a valuable resource that God's given you. So thanks for hanging out with me today. Thanks for commiserating with me and a little bit of speaking. But guys, I really appreciate the time that you have invested with me on the channel over the years. So many of you have been with me for, the decade plus that I've been making videos, and I appreciate you. So many of you have trained with me. You come to class, trained online. You're active on Patreon page, which is a great community, by the way, to be part of. I really appreciate y'all. And in the times to come, I think we're really going to have to lean on the Lord and lean on each other. And that's a beautiful thing that we've created in our community here, online and, in person with the classes. Friends, be ready and be in prayer. This is the thing. Be in prayer and ask the Lord. Ask the Lord. Whatever I have told you is just a stepping stone here. Take it to the Lord in prayer. The Lord is opposed to the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Let him who lacks wisdom ask of God, who gives to all men generously without reproach. If you come to the Lord, just like Solomon, if you come to the Lord in sincerity of heart and say, Father, please give me wisdom so I can safeguard my family. Please give me wisdom to know where to spend my money. Please give me wisdom to know how to be providentially prepared. Please give me wisdom, Father, so I will know how to walk in the times for which you've appointed me. He will. I promise you, he will. So we don't move forward in fear. We walk in faith. We walk by faith, not by sight. And we can rise to the challenge because you are here right now hearing this because you were born for such a time as this. We move forward in faith, not fear, knowing that our King sits on the throne and he's got this. We just need to be faithful servants and park ourselves under the shadow of his wings. For now, it's Patriot Nurse signing off, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.